We waited for months, drifting through space, and after 206 days, we entered Mars's atmosphere. The ship slowed down through the thin Martian air, lighting up in flames. And then, touchdown. I remember clearly the first step. Today marks the era where humanity lives securely and united among the stars. Those were my first words. In retrospect, I would have said something different. You know, I like it here, but I must admit, not a lot of people would want to live here. Still, there has always been work to do. Very meaningful work. That's what I love. Yet as I move through the silent corridors, my mind drifts back to Earth. I miss my daughter, my wife, the grass, the animals, the air. My daughter used to play chess. She never beat me, but was determined to one day do so. I promised her that someday we would play again. The first days on Mars were filled with excruciating anxiety, setting up everything in the colony and fixing everything. This was life or death. We were here to show all of humanity that it could be done, that we could have a second home. And so, we did. A year passed and we had a thriving colony. We grew our own food, had no energy problems, were working on various experiments, and even began extracting water from the ground. We even had Wi-Fi, of course, with a 15-minute delay, but we could send and watch videos. I was able to see my wife and daughter. The Earth and Mars align once every 26 months. Because of this, the Chinese arrived 26 months after we did. It was decided that we would join efforts. They settled right beside us. Their arrival ended up being a good thing. Talking to someone new after being with the same 10 people was nice. Our main objective was to become a self-sustaining colony, because this meant that if anything happened on Earth, we would continue to carry the light of consciousness. After some years, more supplies and astronauts arrived, and it began to feel like a real town was being born. We were full of hope for the future of humanity. This felt like only the beginning of a future living among the stars. I began to imagine that someday my wife and daughter could come here. I pictured my daughter finally beating me at chess. But then everything changed. The United States was close to creating ASI, artificial superintelligence. China invaded Taiwan, aiming to control the key AI chips. America intervened and war erupted, causing massive destruction and millions of deaths, delaying ASI's development. We tried to keep things together here on Mars, worked together and tried to be an example for Earth. Our countries were fighting each other back home, but we believed in our mission. We also feared for everybody on Earth. We just wanted the war to end. But the war kept escalating. 41 countries were fighting. The war expanded beyond Taiwan to other countries. Whoever managed to create ASI would control the most powerful invention in human history. A god at their will. We received instructions from Earth. They told us not to trust the Chinese settlers, to ensure the survival of the American presence on Mars. We tried to keep a good relationship, but fear began to take over. Tensions grew. Supplies were no longer shared, and the relationship began to crumble. I felt a deep sadness watching the dream of unity fall apart. None of us came here for this. The only thing I wanted was to go back home. After a few weeks, one of our astronauts was severely injured while working. A Chinese astronaut was there but didn't help her. Our biggest fear became true. The war had propagated to Mars. Back on Earth, attacks began to be directed at cities. Entire cities reduced to ashes, countries rushing to develop ASI as if it were the nuclear race. We were waiting, managing to survive and keeping an eye out in fear of the Chinese colony. After some hard months, we got the news. The USA had created ASI, and it was smarter than we could have imagined. It had a plan. We were told that in a few months, things would be better than ever. But I only hoped my family was still alive. At that point, China had only two options: to wait and be destroyed, or fight. They chose the latter. They started a global nuclear war. After thousands of nukes, everything was destroyed. I was inside watching the alarms go off, powerless to do anything. Both countries sent ships to Mars in a last-ditch effort, but they were destroyed before they could reach us. Every single person on Earth died. Crying and destroyed, I went outside and looked up into the stars. I saw the Earth glowing red, the final breath of a dying flame. Then the Chinese astronauts attacked our base, killing all the American astronauts, all except me. But then, out of pure luck, the hatch of our base malfunctioned, and they were trapped inside. I had two choices: disconnect the oxygen tanks and watch them die, and with them humanity, or save them with the hope that they would spare me. I thought of my family, all that I had lost. Humanity had to survive, but not with them. I stood there, my hand hovering over the controls. My heart pounded as I remembered our arrival on Mars, the friendships, the shared dreams of a better future. I saw the faces of my fallen colleagues. Then I thought of my family, my daughter who would never get to play another game of chess with me, my wife, and the promise that I would see her again. My emotions yelled at me to take revenge. On the other hand, I thought of the people who had given everything to make this dream possible. I didn't want this to be the end. My hand trembled over the button, hesitating. I slowly pressed it down, feeling the burden of what I was about to do. I disconnected the oxygen tanks and watched as the life support failed with guilt and satisfaction until they suffocated. I felt the weight of their lives, of my own humanity slipping away. For a moment, I really thought I was going to save them. I wanted humanity to survive, but I couldn't bear the idea of them winning. And now here I am in the year 2063, alone, keeping systems running, talking to myself just to hear a voice. I play chess alone, imagining my daughter's moves, the last human, looking at the stars, hoping there is someone out there, leaving this message for you, whoever you are, in hopes that you are better than us.